Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Troy Wilkinson on the line. He's head of cybersecurity research and analytics over at Interpublic Group, which is a top 4 advertising agency, one of the top 4 advertising agencies in the world. Troy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, Adam. How are you today?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic and excited to have you on the line. I mean, cybersecurity, big topic, and you're doing it for a really big group, so excited to get into that. But before we do, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career and in business?
Oh, it's a great question. You know, every time I talk about my background, I feel how old I really am. So it's funny because I got started over 20 years ago in law enforcement and in especially IT forensics, doing things like child pornography investigations, fraud, forgery, all the digital crimes that you think of when you think of your traditional investigative prosecutions. I was recruited by the State Department to go over and assist with cybersecurity investigations in Eastern Europe, including organized crime, terrorism, war crimes, and financial crimes. And so that kind of led me down this path of cybersecurity. But what I found is that so many people have different journeys, and that's okay. We get here one way or the other. But moving back to the States and getting into leadership roles here at large companies, I found that, you know, cybersecurity is the same for us here as it is in Singapore or India or something like that. We're facing the same challenges, and you know, we have a great group of people that are working on those challenges, and that's kind of how I got to Interpublic. And I've been here now for about 8 months and really enjoying my time here on the team.
Wow, so you've seen it all. I mean, from the law enforcement to the private sector, big companies, government. I mean, you've seen it all. It's amazing. And so that being said, I want to switch it up a bit. Let's get into Interpublic Group first, and then I want to get into some of the speaking and keynotes you've been up to. So first, tell us a little bit more about Interpublic Group, please.
Yeah, I love Interpublic Group. They've been great to me, first of all, but as a company, they really pride themselves on diversity and inclusion, and it shows in the culture of what we do there. And so Interpublic Group is not only just advertising, but also marketing and content, and they bring digital analytics to what we're doing to produce content and a lot of things for our different clients across the spectrum. And so it gives me an opportunity to come in and work with a team that's really awesome and still accomplish those things that we're trying to do, which is identify risk and turn risk into dollars and impact based on what we're seeing across the spectrum from attacks and threats that are coming out.
Wow. So what are some of the, you know, obviously this is going to vary from company to company, and I'm not saying we have to get specific into you know, softwares or anything like that, but what are some of the common challenges that companies are having right now with their cybersecurity that you're finding? Because obviously you're a thought leader in that area.
Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge we all face is the skills gap, and what I mean by that is that there's a ton of jobs out there that are open, and we're trying to recruit the next generation of talent to come in and help us with, you know, solving that problem, because as the bad guys scale their infrastructure and get better at what they do, we have to also meet that with skills and capabilities on our own side. And so really, I take it very seriously to mentor the young folks, the next generation, those who want to know what that path is to get to a job in cybersecurity. You know, you see it on TV, it looks really flashy, but sometimes it's long hours, there's a lot of pressure, you're up 24/7 monitoring, not you personally, but the operations team. And so it's very exciting, but it's also what I would consider a calling, right? It's something that you do because you're passionate about it. And so cyber is, you know, has a place for me, and I try to instill that in my students and the people that I talk to on a daily basis about taking a career in cybersecurity, because it's very, very rewarding. It's something you can do and put your heart and soul into and get that feedback like you are doing good in the world. And that's important to a lot of people like myself.
Yeah, movies make it look really flashy from Once Upon a Time. It's like I'm feeling like, oh, you do this and this, and I'm like feeling a little John Wick vibe coming from you, Troy. I'm in.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
spoiler alert, though. Spoiler alert. There's no push button, get past the firewall. It's not that easy, right? I mean, you know, Hollywood.
You don't get to just like you don't get to just be like really talented and just get right through.
Yeah, it takes time and persistence, right? You get there, but you know, it's not that easy.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's get into some of your speaking and the kind of things you're doing and speaking and to educate. You mentioned that you're obviously working with your younger students in terms of helping them and mentoring them. What about on the international Keynote trail? So tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Sure, and those students go all the way down to 7 and 8-year-olds in the public school system of the college.
Oh, wow.
And those who are looking for careers, so really trying to encourage, not only coding in school and some of the STEM careers, but also getting interested in security early so you can take that path. So I love that. But when it comes to speaking around the world on different topics, it usually boils down to three things, like emerging threats and technology, emerging threats and the technology that we're building to defeat those threats, and then the cyber skills gap. So those are my three passions. And for the last few years, the emerging threat has been and is ransomware and some of the crypto lockers that we're getting hit with. We see cities, we see governments, we see every walk of life being affected by these attacks, schools, hospitals, you name it. And it's destructive. And so, trying to get awareness up about that, some of the things you can do to protect yourself, as well as, denial of service attacks and some of the other threats that come in via email. Just the basics, block and tackling, fundamentals. What do you need to do foundationally to protect yourself? And, really trying to encourage people to take that path and follow their passion in this career field.
Let's scale it back for a moment. So meaning, I know you work with large enterprise clients, and I know you have a lot of background, but there's a lot of small business owners listening too right now that, they maybe have 10 to 100 or a couple hundred employees, and maybe they're kind of not caught up on the cybersecurity side of things because they've been so busy building their business that maybe they have some gaps there that they haven't really considered in a while. And right now they're listening to this, so maybe that's the time that we catch their attention. What's some of the things that they should be thinking about?
Great question. So I used to own a cybersecurity company myself called Axiom Cyber, and we focused on that small to medium enterprise. And the reason we do that is because, number one, they don't have the resources or the financing to focus on the bigger solutions that large companies can afford. They also don't have the team. They don't have the skill set. It's hard to hire cybersecurity guys no matter what size of company you are. And so, you have to rely on your outside partners, whether it's a managed service partner for IT or just a simple managed security service. But for small, medium businesses, they are under attack daily, and they have a lot more to lose. FBI put out a statistic, 60% of those who have a major breach go out of business within 6 months. It's impactful. Wow. It's impactful to their bottom line. And a lot of these guys, they think they're not a target, or they think they're too small, or they think that they don't have something of value that hackers would want. And all of those are not correct at all. So, every company has something that the bad guys would want. They have W-2 information. They have direct deposit banking information for their employees. They have identity information. They have intellectual property that makes them special, what they do. So there's a huge risk factor for these guys. And, my thing that I talk about is fundamentals. That means antivirus on every endpoint, a firewall at the internet's connection, and then your patching. Keep your patching up to date. Those are very basic and not so expensive things that you can do to really reduce the risk factor and not be the low-hanging fruit for hackers.
That's awesome. And this is going to be a really basic of basic question, but when we talk about passwords or things like this, there's some of those technologies out there for, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right, whether they're lockers or wallets or things like that. Are those like channels that people should really seriously be considering, especially in that small business realm? Because I hear both different sides of that, and I'm just curious to hear that. Again, that's below your grade, but these are some of the questions that we ask ourselves every day as small business owners, myself included. We're a small team of 5, and I'm like, should we be using these extra lockers or things? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody's too small for password managers. They're going to help you. If you think about all the stuff we see on the dark web, all the dumps from the different breaches and stuff, it's usernames and passwords that are usually out there. And so if I use the same password for my email that I do for my Facebook and my LinkedIn and my Twitter account, well, if one of those things get hacked and they now have my access to all these other sites. And so that is one of the number one reasons people are hacked, is because they reuse passwords. So something as simple as downloading KeePass, which is spelled K-E-E Pass, it's free and it's open source, and I use it and other people use it. It's the way to store multiple passwords, so you have a different password for every site. You only have to remember that one password to get into your password manager. So it's still one password to get into that software, but it protects you when you have hundreds of different passwords you have to remember for all your different sites.
Man, that's great. And that stat that you gave was quite alarming, that you said from that study of that the FBI put out. I believe you said that, if a small business that gets hacked, a lot of them are out of business within 6 months of that big hack taking place. Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on here, was just to scare people. Number one, I didn't mean to use you as my stick, Troy, but kind of like we want to help these business owners, and I know your heart's there, considering you used to own a company helping them. So nobody wants to see somebody be put out of business or have like their life ruined because somebody else is doing something they shouldn't be doing. So especially when it can be prevented, like what you just now said is a very tangible thing that everybody listening can consider or go do. So KeyPass, or all these things, it all adds up. So all the other things that you mentioned all make sense, and appreciate all those tips. So Troy, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information, either an Interpublic Group or even to book you maybe as a keynote speaker, they're thinking about what that looks like for one of their conferences coming up. What's the best way for people to reach out and to connect?
So appreciate that, Adam. And for connecting to me, LinkedIn is the best way. So on LinkedIn, it's simply Kosovo Troy. Kept that username from my days over in the Balkans. You can do a keyword search there for that, or just Troy Wilkinson, and I should come up. For Interpublic, go to interpublic.com. We have a whole family of companies that can assist no matter what your marketing need is, or your advertising need, whether it's print or online or television. We have an agency that can certainly jump in and help you no matter what size you are. But I'm going back to the small businesses. There's a lot of passion there, and there's a lot of need there too. So, if somebody has a question, they can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. And I never mind giving advice or information about things they can do to get protected.
And that's awesome. Really appreciate that, Troy. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. I hope you got some actionable tips, and I hope you move on those. I mean, let's make sure that you keep all of your data and your clients' data and your employees' data protected. So big public service announcement right there, if you will. So thanks again, Troy, and to the audience, go do some of those steps that Troy mentioned today, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you have some comments or questions on data security or anything like that, then you feel free to add some of those comments in the comment section of the video, and I will forward that to Troy, because he's going to answer them, because I'm not going to know the answer. So,
you got it. Anytime.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, Troy, for coming on the show.
Thank you.